What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for tuning back in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. My name is Nick Eden, and you are tuned into another episode of Morning Cup of Merch. All right, guys, so three things that I want to cover before we really get into this. The first is that I have a pinched nerve in my back, and I'm in a lot of pain right now. So I ain't going to be here too long. It's also the reason I have not been doing any podcasts lately, because this hurts. And unfortunately, in studio, I'm on a stool with no back support, so this thing is killing me. The second thing, you may notice, if you haven't already, that you'll see this is not a bug, this is actually a lapel mic. Because in addition to doing the video version of Morning Cup of Merch, I'm also recording directly into my mixer for the audio version. So if you are checking out the audio version, I got a separate special mic just for you. And the third thing, I know I did not want to cover this topic, I'll be honest with you. I've had several new sellers reach out to me, and it's the only reason that I am doing this now. Also, I've been paying attention to the Facebook groups. I've been paying attention to Reddit. I've been seeing what people have been saying on Twitter about it. So the third thing is this, and this is going to be a classic example of why. Most of your veteran, I'm not going to say most, a lot of veteran print-on-demand sellers are full of shit. So let's get into it. Okay, so if you're in print on demand in any form or fashion, and you've been looking for trends, you've been looking for evergreens, you've been looking for holidays, even if you're not in print on demand and you've just been watching the news, you've seen this phenomenon pop up. Let's Go Brandon. It's the title of the video and the podcast, so you know that's what we're talking about. There's a reason I didn't want to talk about this. Because this is the perfect combination of... I'm going to lose some subscribers for this one. This is the perfect combination of whiny-ass merch sellers who are pissed off about competition and new people coming in. This is a combination of that, the political divisiveness in this country right now, and it's also that plus the fact that most people just do not know what is and is not right to do on platforms like Merch by Amazon, Redbubble, TeePublic, Spreadshirt, and others. So let's go ahead and get right down to the meat of it. If you don't know what Let's Go Brandon is about, and I'm not a big NASCAR follower, so I couldn't tell you the driver's name, but there was a NASCAR race that was televised, and a reporter was on there and covering the story. The crowd was chanting F Joe Biden. And this is not a political show. I don't care whether you like Joe Biden or not. Not my deal. But the crowd was chanting F Joe Biden. The reporter mistakenly took it for Let's Go Brandon, which is the name of one of the NASCAR drivers. Shout out to that young man. I'm not familiar with it, but I hope he did well. So this, of course, went viral. And as things tend to happen in print on demand, when something goes viral, if it's a meme, if it's anything like that, and we've talked about it on this channel before, inevitably it does become a t-shirt. This just happened to really go really far. It went far for two reasons, and I've talked about this before. One, viral is always going to bring the search volume up, i.e. Bishop Sycamore, the football team. That was up. People were buying Bishop Sycamore shirts. But when you have that and you combine the fact that political divisiveness in this country is at an all-time high, there are a lot of people, both right-leaning and left-leaning, that are not fans of President Joe Biden, and the fact that traditionally conservatives buy t-shirts with political statements way more than liberals. If you did not know that, let me just tell you now. Conservatives buy t-shirts way more than liberals. And again, this is not a political show. Don't argue with me, argue with the numbers. They're there for everyone to see. So with that being the case, you had two things happen. One, a bunch of shirts went up. Two, a bunch of people started questioning or commenting on the legality of having those shirts up. If it's going to actually go in and get some people banned. And so before I get into why I say a lot of veteran merchants are full of shit, let me just say this. My opinion on this is very clear. One, I have not done any Let's Go Brandon shirts. On merch, TeePublic, Spreadshirt, Redbubble, Etsy, Shopify, any platform. I have not done it. It's just something I chose not to do. One, I've been trying to stay away from trends as much as possible because just for the purpose of clearing up my account. I've had some trends. I'm not going to sit here and say, I think it's disingenuous. I think it's a bit of an asshole move to sit here and say, oh yeah, you shouldn't do trends and you should concentrate on evergreens because that's the way to go. And while I do believe that that is indeed the way to go, it is not my place to tell you what you should and should not do. I can simply tell you what I've done, my experience with it, and my suggestion. Ultimately, you have to make that decision for yourself. I chose not to do Let's Go Brandon shirts for a myriad of reasons. Reason number one, I'm trying to stay away from trends. Reason number two, it's too much of a gray area, and my philosophy on shirts is simple. If I have to question it this much, then I probably shouldn't do it. I'm not going to miss out on anything. There's going to be another trend that may be coming along that's safe. There are going to be evergreens that are continue to sell that are safe. There are holidays that are continue to come on and that are safe. And again, I'm not going to act like I have not been tempted to, or especially in my early days, toted the line on things. But one thing I will say is, for me, my overall 96 to 97% of what I've done in print on demand has been based on me trying to build a long-term platform that will sell as long as those programs are around. This goes beyond merch. I didn't start off in merch, and I've told you all that. So for me, it's about building something that's safe, long, sustaining, and something I don't have to clean up. Because you do all these shirts and then the trend dies down and now you got a bunch of space taken up, and when you're trying to tear up and you have no more spots or whatever the case may be, then it's like, well, I got to go in now, audit my account, delete all this stuff that's not been selling for 4 or 5 years now because, it was something that was hot for a couple of weeks. So that's just my thought process on it. I cannot tell you whether or not to do Let's Go Brandon shirts. What I can tell you is that there are some risks, and there are some shirts that are a really bad example of it. Probably one of the worst examples that I've seen of a Let's Go Brandon shirt would be the one that actually uses the NASCAR pattern and the colors. That is most definitely infringing on NASCAR's intellectual property. Another one that I saw, and this was kind of like the same thing earlier in the year, like Chucks and Pearls. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago with Cinquanta Cox Smith. Chucks and Pearls. Chucks, meaning Chuck Taylors, is definitely a reference to Converse. So obviously that's something that's a little too close to the line, right? With Let's Go Brandon, if you got race cars, that's another example. I saw one with a race car. I saw one with a parody style logo of NASCAR. I saw some, I don't know how they got this past. They had all the dots and the dashes and everything in there. But this was on Amazon. It actually had the NASCAR logo kind of buried in the back. That's not gonna fly. That's just not gonna fly. A regular text-based shirt that says Let's Go Brandon, is it gonna get your account banned? I don't know. And I can say this comfortably. And yes, I do content to advise people on starting and growing their print-on-demand business. But I am man enough to say, I don't know. And what I see in these groups is people saying, oh, well, the reporter said it, so it's her intellectual property. Oh, well, it was about Brandon, so it's his intellectual property. Oh, it was on TV, so it's the news station's intellectual property. It was said at a NASCAR event, so it's NASCAR's intellectual property. Shut the hell up, because you don't know. And it's okay. It is okay to just say, you know what? I don't know, but I won't do it. It's okay to say that. You don't have to be an expert on everything. Stop speculating on what Amazon thinks or what Redbubble thinks. I apologize. A little bit of a tangent. I might edit it out. I probably won't. Need that, that all that aside. If you don't know, you just don't know. And the reality is, there's probably one person, and ironically, the one person that is likely to know these things, especially coming from Amazon for a fact, has not said anything. That should let you know. Sitting in your house in Saskatchewan, shout out to Saskatchewan, this is not a dig at them, that has never had any contact with the heads of any of these platforms, you do not know. Is there an active application for Let's Go Brandon on the U.S. Patent and Trademark website? Yes, it is. Can it be disputed? Yes, it can. Will it be disputed and thrown out? I don't know. But I will say probably the most reliable place to go and inquire will be the Trademark Watchdogs group. Now, that being said, to the 4 people who reached out to me on Instagram and Facebook and asked me about this, let me answer you all now. Question number 1, am I doing or have I done any Let's Go Brandon shirts? No. Question number 2, should you do any Let's Go Brandon shirts? Let me give you 3 reasons why you should not and 1 reason why you should ignore me. Reason number 1. The first reason that you should not do a Let's Go Brandon shirt is because if your gut is questioning doing any type of shirt, just don't do it. Spend that time on building something else. Reason number 2. If you have the intention of adding anything that references NASCAR and could be liable for IP infringement, you should not. And reason number 3, at this point, it has become so heavily dominated by the shirts that have been up for over a week, you're not going to make a lot of market penetration unless you run ads. And if you run ads on a trend, let me tell you from experience, you're going to lose money. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you would have asked me this a week ago, I would have said, hey, do it at your own risk, but at least you got a decent time to do it. But here's the reason that you should ignore me. And this is probably new. Not too many YouTubers or podcasters are saying this. The reason you should probably ignore me is because at the end of the day, it's your account. And you take on whatever risk you take with your account. And that whether that's merch, whether that's Shopify, Etsy, any of them, whether you're selling it on Facebook Marketplace, you take on that risk. And in an age now where almost everything on Facebook is getting flagged, almost everything on YouTube is getting flagged, particularly dealing with things that are of a political divisive nature, you're taking a risk. So it's up to you. That's why you should ignore me, because ultimately it's up to you. Now, I want to get to the real reason of why I say a lot of veteran merchers are full of shit. Earlier in the year, there were similar conversations going on about Chucks and Pearls. And let me just go ahead and say this. The Chucks and Pearls argument is a lot more sound and makes a lot more sense than Let's Go Brandon. There were a few people that I noticed that on every conversation, there's 3 in particular. I'm not gonna blast them out. But there were 3 people in particular on Facebook, you know who you are, that in every single conversation, every single thread, and every single merch group that came up about Chucks and Pearls, they were the first to say, You're going to get banned. You're going to get banned. You're what's wrong with Merch by Amazon. You're what's wrong with this. And all three of them, I noticed, upon my investigation, I actually saw on several other platforms that were posting their Chucks and Pearls shirts. These same three people are in the threads as we speak about Let's Go Brandon. Now, does that mean that that reason is the reason alone that a lot of merchers are full of shit? No, that's three people among the tens of thousands. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, as many shirts as there are for Let's Go Brandon right now, and we've seen this with other trend patterns before, you've seen just as many people thinning the herd. Because this is what happens. You build up the fear, and then you start to see shirts taken down. There were, over the last 48 hours, there were roughly 1,000 Let's Go Brandon shirts taken down off various platforms. And there are some that are still up. And it kind of coincides with a lot of these threads. This is why I tell all of you new sellers out there, you have to do what's best for your print-on-demand journey. All of this is a risk because at any given time, something can be trademarked or the application can be done and they can start issuing trademark violations for it and takedowns, i.e. Mama Bear. And there were a lot of people who knew that. Unfortunately, it's a very common practice in print-on-demand. It's as common as P4P copycats. So don't think that the tactic is not the same. There's a reason somebody tried to file a trademark for Let's Go Brandon. There's a reason you see the same amount of people in the groups telling you what you're going to get banned for. And ironically enough, these are the same people who on separate threads have said things like, oh, merch got worse when they started letting all these new people in. Well, you didn't feel that way when they let you in, because not everybody was there from the beginning. And it's disingenuous. It's really shitty, because now that you're in and you're making some money, now you don't want anybody else to come in and give them the chance to compete. It's not because you want the platform to be healthy, because you're skirting the line too. You don't want the platform to be healthy and sustaining. You just don't want any competition. And that is the worst type of business person that there is out there. Competition is always going to exist, no matter what business venture you go in. But for you to sit there and try to scare off these new people when it was not done to you, wasn't done to you. There's a reason that a lot of content creators do not go into those Facebook groups anymore. And I'm not saying that every content creator out there is a good actor. That's not what I'm saying. But for those of us who've been around for a while, you remember 2016, 2017, and at least the early part of 2018, there was a lot more sense of community in a lot of those forums. Now, Reddit has always been a collection of miserable bastards. Let me go ahead and say that now. Hi, this is the wannabe guru speaking. Yeah, I'm telling y'all now. Look, I don't care if I lose subscribers on this one. I'm a little bit pissed off because what I'm tired of is I'm tired of veteran merchers taking advantage of the new people not knowing anything and leaning on somebody. And when you lean on somebody for information and they give you false information simply so that they can move forward, I have no respect for that. So if you're one of those people and you're offended by this podcast, unsubscribe. If you're one of those people and you're watching this YouTube channel, unsubscribe. I don't care if I never break 1,000 views. I don't care if I never break 1,000 subscribers. I don't care. If it's just 5 people who get value from these videos, actual value, and they're trying to build a legitimate, sustainable business, I'm totally fine with that. I don't need the money from YouTube. I hadn't gotten any from it yet. That I mean. So you're not hurting me by leaving if you're one of those people. I don't want you here. I want the people who want to do things the right way. And no, I'm not happy-go-lucky Nick right now. Happy-go-lucky Nick is tired of the bullshit that comes on these platforms and talks all this mess and builds everything about them based on negativity, talking about new sellers when people are just trying to do the same thing your stupid ass was doing 2-3 years ago. So if you don't like it, go ahead and leave. You can click the dislike, but I don't care. I do not care, because it's time out for this. We live in a country right now where there are not just a ton of opportunities to really scale and make a lot of money, and here's one of them. And so these tactics that some of you veterans do, and here's the crazy thing, unfortunately, some of you were victims of it too. And by becoming, you went essentially from being a victim to a predator. And that makes you even worse, because you know what this is like and what it feels like. But these are the same people that get on there and they dog out Jeff Bezos every chance they get, but you get a check from him at the end of every month. New sellers, listen to me and listen to me well. Your print-on-demand journey is your print-on-demand journey. That's the ups, that's the downs, that's the risks, and that's the rewards. You have to make that decision for yourself. When you come to this channel, what I'm trying to tell you is things that have worked for me and some of my colleagues that are not black hat ways for you to scale your business. You can take the information, you cannot take the information. Ultimately, you have to make your own choice. I'm not going to tell you what to or what to not do. All I would say is think about the longevity of your account before you do it. That's all I got for today, guys. Please don't forget, if you are still here, like, subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications so that you know when we come with a new podcast. And remember this, you can make as much money as you want to in print on demand, but you have to press the go button. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you next time.